Buenos dias, bonjour, oginki desu ka? Ni hao, man. Guten Tag, God Morgen, Dobre Obro. Howdy, y'all. I wanted to basically clarify, interpret the mantra, the meaning of the mantra, the words of the mantra that I had shared in my previous video. And to that end, to those ends, I have prepared a little PowerPoint presentation, if you will. But essentially, the mantra went as follows: Yogi, Yogi Shoraya, Mahadevaya. Well, I'll try to leave the, I will leave the melody out of it. So Yogi Shoraya, Mahadevaya, which translates to the Lord of Yoga, the Great One. Trayambakaya, Tripurantakaya, Tripurantakaya, the three-eyed one. And now, this is all symbolic, of course, same way that in the Bible it's written. There's a lot of allegory, symbolism. Three-eyed one refers to an activated one whose pineal gland, their third eye chakra, is activated, and they are conversing. They are in touch with source. They are source awareness when the third eye becomes activated. The three-eyed one, destroyer of the Tripura. And Tripura translates, it has many nuances and translations, but essentially translates to a type of illusion, to worldly affairs, worldly illusions, the third density, so to speak. So that's what that line purported, what it meant. Trikagni, Kalaya, Kalagni, Rudraya. He who, like fire, devours the past, present, and future within himself or herself or themselves. And of course, this is he who, like fire, devours the past, present, and future within himself. I understand that through my experience, through my meditations, in particular, when I went through Udana Pranayama activation with Sadhguru, that involved a very set breathing regimen and breathing that was somewhat complex, and it involved also intonating vocal sounds of a type of mantra, that the reverberations and the frequencies of the reverberation set free and activated certain energy. At the culmination of that activation of the Udana Pranayama, I experienced in my third eye this brilliant fire, a fire of knowing, like this welcoming, not a type of fire that you would be, afraid of, I'm going to get murdered, but like a type of melting that melted my ego, and I was, and put me in, allowed me to merge, right? The bounded, my ego self, merge into the boundless of source. So that's what that's referring to in my belief. There could be others. So then we go on to Nilat Kantaya, Mritun Jayaya, blue-throated one who has conquered death. And then I'm gonna finish this out, and then I'll talk about what blue-throated one purports with that. I believe it means, but blue-throated one who has conquered death. Save Shoraya, Sada Shivaya, Lord of everything, the Eternal One. Mahadevaya Namaha. And then, O Great One, we bow down to you. And this is referring, and this little photo is just an Egyptian sort of thing I threw in there, but it's not an earthly who we're bowing down to. This is the concept. This is the blue-throated one who has conquered death. Blue-throated one in the Egyptian gods and goddesses, basically the blue ones, which we recognize in the Hindu religion as Shiva is commonly depicted as with a blue, but it's essentially it's symbolic and a representation of the blue throat chakra to impart knowledge to humanity. It also does, I believe, because of the star-seeded nature of the consciousness and the interaction with our star families, with the Arcturians and the blue blood of the Arcturians, that when they incarnated into human forms with a new consciousness. And same thing with Jesus being, I believe that his soul was a seventh dimensional Palladium, but blue essentially comes from the blue activated blue throat chakra, where you're imparting knowledge and truth to humanity. It's not to be confused with the blood of the reptilians, which is a copper-based, takes on a blue appearance when it becomes oxygenated. That's something totally different, okay? So I wanted to kind of share that, what the meaning of what that mantra was. Highly symbolic meaning. And I can tell you roughly around this time last year is when I had and it was that mantra. It was that mantra that I just shared with you and defined for you, my dear and esteemed viewer. It was that mantra that I worked with for, probably like 11 hours of just being in constant, and it was, and it was through Sadhgurus and the Isha Foundation, that exact mantra that I shared with you with the flute and the different variations and the drums and whatnot. I worked with that mantra for almost like 11, 12 hours. And it essentially, it took me from the level of consciousness where I was at, activated my Kundalini with the most powerful experience. Like I literally was like the force of the power and it was not any kind of like, oh, there's something wrong with me. It's like, oh my God, this is incredible. And it culminated into basically me, taking it with that force, that power, especially when I went outside trying to get a little fresh air. And I went out and I was interacting with the sun. It was solar yoga, which is where you look into the sun directly with eyes, with your bare eyes, you're looking into the sun. It further activated but it brought the energy up into my crown area. And when I came back inside and I began to kind of pace myself and I let the mantra alone for a while, it had done its work. The sun had done its work. And I basically took that force that I was feeling, I could have ran a marathon, I felt like at the time, which I hate running. And I began to tame it. And I began to tame it with controlled breathing until where I went to sleep. And what woke me up was this vision of this laser violet tulip flower in my head, and it was a pure bliss. And from that moment on, my life had changed. And so anyway, that's what that the power of mantra can do. And that mantra, and specifically that mantra, is meant to meant to melt your individual consciousness and merge it with source. Shiva's just a word, blue-throated one, blue Hindu gods, blue Egyptian gods. These are different cultures' depictions of perennial truth that all of us, because of our wiring, our hard wiring from source, that we are all able to experience. Cultures all over the world have different symbols and writings and learnings and teachings in their mystery schools referring to the 7 chakras, the energy of the Kundalini, the coiled serpent. That whole experience has been well documented and it's verified the world over. So, if you're some disabled veteran living in Texas, you're going to experience like myself. You're going to experience the same thing if you go through those steps and are aware of the processes and use these tools, these spiritual technology tools that have been provided to us. Then you will experience this. It's the same. It's the world over. And with that being said, I wanted to just share a little bit more on another quote from Thomas Williams, and I'll wrap this video up. But essentially, if you lead in love and care, you will prevail. If you lead life in fear and anger, you will fail. Feel free to be the person you wish to be, not the person who conforms to what others want you to be. You are a multidimensional being operating simultaneously on many levels. You are not here to conform. You are not here to be stifled. You are not here to be enslaved. And you are not here to be abused or to compete with your friends, families, or neighbors. You are here to be the best you can be and do so as the crown of creation. Now go out with confidence of who and what you are and excel in yourself, and in doing so inspire others. Everything you ever wanted is on the other side of fear. And that's true, my dear and esteemed viewer. And that was a quote from Thomas Williams that I shared. I'll put that in the video thumbnail. But essentially, if there's any choices in this, our paths in this world, it comes down to a choice simply between love and fear, and which path you're going to travel. And also, I hope you travel that path that hits the subscribe button, and stay tuned for further transmissions from the Umbanda New Earth New Earth Education Center for Consciousness, and instant coffee, of course, adequately heated.
Namaste, namaskaram.